Join Louisiana Right to Life in protecting the vulnerable as we share pro-life stories, insights, and news from the Pelican State. Welcome to the Pro-Life Pod.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Pro-Life Pod. I'm Erica and Zena, and today I'm really excited to have my friend Amber Dubois on to share her very, very powerful story that she's so great in sharing to bring light to a very dark place. And so with all that said, let's get started. Hey Amber.
Hi Erica.
When you walked in, we talked like it is Holy Thursday, and it feels like a Holy Thursday, doesn't it?
It does feel like a Holy Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you ready for Easter?
I'm ready. Obviously, we're all ready
Yeah.
for Easter, but I feel like my Lent or the season of preparing for Easter has been like lacking, the hamster wheel feeling. You're busy, busy, busy.
Mhm.
So I'm looking forward to the next couple days to just kind of slow down and like reflect, spiritually on what's going on in my faith and in the life of Christ on these 3 days, and just kind of entering deeper into that before the celebration, because I feel like I've been lacking that in the busyness.
And like what a better time to do it.
Correct.
If no
The
other
best time.
this is the
This is
time.
the time,
Yeah,
yes.
absolutely.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I know. We do just keep going. I bet you're gonna go home after this and you're gonna be like, after teaching.
So let's fold laundry.
Yes. Don't remind me. I have so much to catch up on. But okay, so tell everybody what you do for a living.
Sure. So I am a teacher, and I teach middle school, which everyone is like, oh, God
That
bless
makes you a
you.
hero.
Yes, I get that a lot. And they take it. It's a very special person to teach middle school. And I guess I have that quality because I not only do it, but I love it.
Yeah.
We're creative. We play games. I teach middle school theology or religion at a Catholic high school here in the diocese. It's my third year teaching. I've only been teaching a few years. I spent about 10 years doing corporate work for like an app company, executive assistant work.
Yeah.
And somehow I was just called to teaching. All the doors opened and I was like, well, I better walk through. And it's been fantastic.
Okay, that's an interesting question. Would you go back
to
corporate?
Now that I found like the right age, the right subject, right now it's a great environment. I love the administration I work for, my coworkers, the culture there is great. I feel safe, right? Which is hard to do in some schools.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I would go back. I plan to stay.
It is so fulfilling. I taught for a long time and it was so fulfilling. Yeah, and I would go back to teaching if I were not indebted to practicing law after doing this, like crazy career change. So Amber, to get right to it, we have coming up in a few weeks, we will have a bill in the legislature, which is of course my role in Louisiana Right to Life to go to the Capitol and work on policy and legislation and all of this. And so for the severalth year in a row, there will be a bill seeking to add an exception into our law in cases of rape and incest. So the exception would be to allow for elective abortions in cases of rape and incest. And I know that's something that's very dear to your heart. So I guess I'll start by saying, like, what would you say to a legislator or a policymaker, if you had someone in front of you right now, what words would you say to them as they get ready to consider this? That's a hard
question. I guess I would ask why. Like, why are we the exception?
Okay. And so you just
I'm automatically going to do it.
Right. Why
am I an exception?
Why are you the exception? Okay. And so obviously that's a very deep, like a very poignant part of your story and your life. And I'm so grateful that you do what you do to share that. But you want to walk us through?
Sure. Like a little bit of the story and everything. Why do I say
you the exception?
Yes, what makes me the exception? I think we should be considered as the exception to be given that chance, right? We be considered. And the reason why, obviously, I'm putting myself into that boat because I'm part of that boat, right? I found out at a young age when I was a teenager that I had been conceived in rape. My mom had been assaulted, and they kept it from me for a while, right, until I was a little older and could fully understand. And while it was challenging, there's no really good time to learn that about your family and about yourself. It made me ask a lot of questions, right? Not just about my family, and about faith, but about how we view one another. Right. And where does our value come from? And so being conceived from such violence, it's like, well, am I less lovable? Am I less worthy?
Mm-hmm.
Am I less wanted? And praise be to God that my mom had the courage that she did. Not a lot of women do, and we should still love them, right? But my
Oh, of
mom,
course.
of
Yeah.
course, made a choice. And when you ask her, though, she would never come on something like this, but to her, it was never really a choice. Like, she just, something about her knew that what if she had the abortion, that pain would be greater, right, than the rape itself. And so
Yeah.
that was it. And to this day, she tells me I'm the best decision she ever made. And she's an atheist, right? She has no religious affiliation. This isn't because the Bible said so, right?
Right. Or the church says so.
She's like, she votes, right? But she's not like, if you've checked her Facebook, you wouldn't know her political affiliation. So it's not like a political stance. It's just
Right.
like, this was a human issue, not
This is
religious,
just a
not
human
political.
issue.
This was human. Like, that I was living, I was alive, and I deserved to live. And so as a teenager and young adult, I had to, she made a choice, but I did too, right? We make the choice every day to get up and keep on living. And it's a hard, dark, harsh world sometimes, but there's also beauty and joys, little moments where you're like fully present. It's like full stop moments where it's just like time slows and the colors and everything just turns up, like beautiful moments. And so like, I imagine what would life be like if I hadn't had those, right? And then I think about those who don't, right? Who were never given that chance. So it's like, why are we the exception? Where does our value come from? And
do you
even
sometimes feel like I'm sorry to cut you off, but do you sometimes feel like you like survived the Titanic? Like you were one of the ones who survived the Titanic almost?
I've never heard it phrased that way, but
I know
guess
that's a
kind
weird,
of.
like a weird, or I even imagine, not to conflate the two issues or anything like that, but I imagine, some people who were maybe like Jewish during the Holocaust
yeah.
may feel like, oh my gosh, I survived.
Yeah,
I
would say there's like some survivor's guilt in some ways.
Yeah.
Or there used to be, especially when I was like working through the more turbulent times.
Yeah.
And every time legislation comes up, I get a little sensitive. It's like, even with pro-life communities, I'm pro-life except in the case of rape. And I'm like, okay, but we say we're pro-life regardless of gender, regardless of age, socioeconomic status, religion, color of skin. So why wouldn't how we were conceived also be considered? Right. Yeah. So a little bit of survivor's guilt for sure, and imposter syndrome, a little bit, especially when I'm giving talks or something like this, and I'm like, who am I to be speaking about it? But I'm like, you know what? If it helps others like me who aren't speaking up to know, like, yes, you do belong. Yes, you do have value. Yes, it's okay, right, to have these feelings, right, and to still struggle with it, but to also love life and the little joys that it brings, right?
So I've seen you speak so many times. One thing that I always note when you speak is you always have someone come up to you at the end. And I'm not always, I don't always overhear the conversation, of course. What's the most powerful thing that someone has said to you after, and you may have many situations like this, but after you've given a talk where you were very vulnerable and explained your story, what can you think of like the most powerful conversation you had after with someone who was really impacted by it?
Sure, that's a great question. I've been giving like talks or sharing my story kind of privately, like just when I'm invited, right? Or youth camps or adult conferences here and there. And you're right, almost every time someone will come to, and I think about the ones who want to, but they don't, right? But the ones that do, and I've been doing this maybe 8 years now, probably the most impactful ones, and it's usually the same. It's, I thought I was alone, and I'm not, right? It's like a lot of the times those like us, those like myself feel like we're disconnected, right? I think an image I've used in another talk is like everyone else is on the other side of the Grand Canyon and I'm over here, right? But there's more of us on this side than you think, right? And so being connected to one another helps us feel that we have a place to belong. And so when they say, I thought I was alone, that's all they have to say. I know exactly what they're trying to tell me, right? And usually they come in tears and they come quietly, and we don't say much. It's like an unspoken, bond, but they just kind of signal me that way. And it's always most impactful because I remember when I felt alone in all of this and how difficult that was. And once I started learning there were other people out there like me who were thriving, who were also speaking up, right? It gave me courage to do the same.
Okay, I'm glad you said that because I was going to ask, what made you decide to start sharing this? Because it's an incredibly personal and vulnerable story to share. What was it that made you, was it like a small progression, or what made you think like, I've got to meet other people out there?
It was kind of a small progression. actually started with my roommate about 8 years ago. When I moved back here, I had been living in Ohio. I moved back here, was going back to school, and one of my roommates was involved in the pro-life movement, and she was helping
Okay.
put on like summer camps, weekends, retreats, and stuff, for teenagers to learn about pro-life issues. Not religious ones; they were usually done through like the state, right? So
Yeah.
it's like science, biology. They didn't even
Yeah.
talk about religion at all,
Which is
and
kind of how I feel like it should be most of the time.
yes,
You know?
yes, those first. I think biology
Right.
first, philosophy second, and
Yeah.
then religion just kind of backs both of them up because that's what it's supposed to do.
Right.
But so my roommate was very involved, and she knew my story because we were also good friends, and she had a pro-life story that was different, right? Like conceived out of wedlock, and father had abandoned her. So she had a similar story. So we had bonded closely over that, and so she invited me to start speaking at these smaller little youth programs, and it was like 30 to 50 kids at a time, a couple times a year.
That's still a lot.
And then it's just kind of grown.
That's
and
daunting.
grown. And it was usually on a panel, so there'd be like, the issue with abortion, and it'd be like my story, which was conceived in rape. There would be sometimes a mother who had an abortion for various reasons, like a survivor. Usually there was a male, like they'd have a father, right, who had been like not included in the decision or had contributed to the decision of abortion. It was like the impact of abortion and how it impacted different people and their stories. And so also because of that, I also met other people, even though their stories were different than mine, but we all heard each other. Right?
Yeah.
And we were all united for the same movement, which was for life and for love, right? And so I guess through those, I kept being invited to different things, and it's just gone since then.
Where's the farthest you've gone to talk?
Probably Washington, D.C. I spoke at the Louisiana State Rally.
Oh, yeah, the Go Forth.
Go Forth rally, correct.
Yeah.
That was in 2023, so about 2 years ago. I've done some in Texas, Alabama, Arkansas. I did one in Arkansas about a year ago, right before my baby was born. That one was good. My husband was able to come without me, which was very beautiful because he's not often able to come.
You know what? When before you came on, we were talking about David Scotton, our mutual friend and fellow advocate in the pro-life movement. And he shared with a group of students recently that, in addition to him being grateful for his life being spared, he was becoming a parent made it even more.
Yes, more is the word.
More. Yeah. And I think of that too, because I was adopted, but to my knowledge, I was never, like a threatened abortion. Like, I don't know that was ever a consideration, but
nobody was trying to make you the exception at the time.
Right. Now, I will say that I was a social exception, the exception that society would say.
I understand.
Teen mom, drugs.
Career in front of you.
I don't even think that career in front was at the time.
Not even considered.
Right. Bad relationship, in poverty, all the things, all the reasons that people would say, yes, this 15-year-old should.
Option for
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I don't know why she didn't. I don't know. And unfortunately, she has passed away, so I can't ask her. And I wish I could, or thank her. I wish I could thank her. That's what I wish the most. But no, I look at I'm grateful for my life so much. But then I look at my kids and I'm like, and we would do this as moms. We would lay down our lives for them. But like, gosh, if I weren't spared, they wouldn't be here.
No, I've thought of that often.
Oh my gosh. And it's so
like it's almost an existential crisis a little bit. Not a crisis, but it's like existential realization, I guess, or clarity, but it's like the wonder of it.
Right. And like it's kind of like the butterfly effect in a way too. Like if we weren't here, what momentous or wonderful things, and they could be small. It could be
it may not even just be having children. It could be a neighbor, a student,
just the one person that you talk to, that you minister to, that you console, that you smile at, and you change their world, whether it's for the day or forever.
The small things with great love.
Absolutely, yeah. So, gosh, that kind of sends me in a headspin too. Like,
I have to pump the brakes sometimes.
Yeah. So, okay. So speaking of like the one, I remember you shared before a statistic about survivors of, I guess survivors of abortion wouldn't be the correct term, but those conceived in rape and incest.
Mhm.
That statistic.
Yes. So from the research I've done, and I'm a middle school teacher, right? I don't do this.
Right.
Look at these.
Understood.
But what I understood is that even when abortion was legalized across our country, that only 1% of them, like the reasons people would get abortion, well, only 1% was due to rape and incest. The rest were usually financial or future, or they were scared or something like that, right? It's situational, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where only about 1% was rape and incest issues. So it's like 1% doesn't seem like a lot of people, but it's several thousand, right? It's several thousand. And so it's like, sure, it's kind of like that dilemma of like if there's a train coming and the track is split and there's like a ton of people on the train you save versus like the one person tied to the railroad, what do you do? You know, like you have a choice. But the thing with this bill or whatever, it's like no one's in danger except the babies.
Mm-hmm.
It's not this like us or them think like, oh, we have to save all the people and like make them the scapegoat or make them sacrifice this person so we could all be like, it doesn't make sense. Right. So it's like the 1%, it's like we deserve a chance too, right? Whether it's legal, not legal, like state, federal, again, it's a human issue. And so save the 1%, a lot of the times it's like, okay, even if we legalize abortion and only had an exception for cases of rape and incest, it's 1%, right? But the issue with exceptions is just like, I teach middle school, right? They want to be the exception. But if you let one go, then like, I got to go to the bathroom and it's like the middle of a test, right?
Yep.
You're supposed to stay in the room with testing, but if you let one go, you have to be fair and let the others go, right?
Yeah.
So what concerns me about this exception is the exception would be just the first step, right? And then another bill in another year or two, it's going to be another and another and another. And then it's like that, you know, that Greek god where he's like doing the boulder, he's forever destined to push it up. And then
it does kind of feel like that sometimes.
Yes, yeah, and it just rolls back down just to start over again. That's where it would lead.
Yeah.
And so, and when it comes to pro-life, there should be no exceptions.
Right. I'm with you on that. Yeah. I think, you know, often the exception subsumes the rule.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's a real danger with this particular bill.
But it's hard because it's real lives, and there are women who are really suffering. Like,
Yeah.
you tell a 12-year-old who's been raped by their uncle and is now pregnant, right, and alone. Like, those are hard issues. And what do you tell them, right? Oh, you shouldn't have an abortion because, you know, it's illegal or you're not supposed to because the Bible says so. No, we need to be more real than that, right?
Do you ever wonder I wonder this a lot actually, if the lack of ability for an abortion to be the answer sometimes saves the girl or the woman from a very bad situation, in that if like the pregnancy is what reveals the abuse, such that, and I don't know, I have no statistics for this, but I wonder this often, like if you know, if it could be that the pregnancy itself is what exposes the abuse and leads to justice for that abuse. And without that, you know, if abortions were still easily accessible, and today they really are. Honestly,
they still are.
They really are.
Just because we make something legal or illegal doesn't make people stop.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's when you say pushing the boulder,
I know. Yeah.
Or like whack-a-mole. It feels like whack-a-mole.
Yes.
You know, like we can never do. But
and it's this issue and that issue and this issue and that issue. But it's about education, right? A lot of people have these ideas about the exception for rape and incest because they don't know anyone who's been conceived in rape, right? A lot, like, I don't go up to someone at Super One or Costco and be like, "Hi, my name's Amber. I was conceived in rape." Right? Value me, right?
Why wouldn't
show
you
me
do
dignity
that?
and respect, right? Why would I do that? So it's like a lot of people. It's like a hypothetical, right? It's just like a statistic. It's just a piece of paper. It's just a story. Right? But when you put faces and names, right? These are real, like I said with the 12-year-old girl, these are real people with real struggles, right? And real situations that aren't always easy or clear answers. Life is messy, right? It's hard.
I would even say, like, in most cases, it's not a clear, there's a lot of gray.
A lot of gray. I was going to say the same thing. Lots of gray. And so that's one of the reasons I speak up, right, is to give that face to the story, right?
Yeah.
To the statistic, right? For myself, but also those like me who can't or aren't able to for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Right. And it's not like it's almost like a holy charge a little bit, like I've been entrusted with this, and so it's not my identity, it's not my, all I am, it's not what I exist for, but it's a part of my story. It's not everything. It's a
Right.
piece, but it's an important piece, and I think it's important for others to hear that, right, and to see that, and then even if it just makes them pause and consider, like, wow, you can do a background check. I do not have a violent record, right? I'm not a criminal. I have never assaulted anyone, like I'm a decent human being. I'm actually, there are people in the world who are conceived the right way and terrible human beings.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, we're all terrible in traffic. That's a no-brainer. What if we made the
Brings out the
exception?
worst in us.
What if we made an exception and
Yeah.
we aborted everyone who cut someone off in traffic? Then we'd all be done, right?
No, that's true too. Like going down like, where does the exception end? But no, it's true. Like when you start placing value, a person's value on things that they can't control,
That's it.
then, or even things that they can control, but like you said, everything's gray, so usually the worst of us comes from
something
something,
wounded or something,
some
inside of us.
wound.
Even
Yeah.
when I teach, right? It's middle school. You should be able to control yourselves, but can they?
Yeah.
No, right? So like when I do consequences for them as a teacher, my principal says I have a soft voice but a big stick, right? So like I deal with it, I address it, but I don't hold a grudge. I don't judge them the rest of the year or hold it against them. Like next day, new start, we start again. It's teaching them, it's learning them. And adults are the same way sometimes, right? Like we're always constantly learning and having to reconsider where we stand. Why do we have that stance? Are we just reposting what's on Facebook, or are we like actually looking to see if it's a legitimate quote or a legitimate statistic?
And I've been guilty of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Same. Me too. So
Yeah.
it's like we have to stop and like reconsider maybe some things, especially when these legislations are happening. Like, okay, why do I believe what I believe? Am I open to even discussing it and open to a change? Not saying you have to, but am I open to hearing other stories? Right. And even if I disagree, can I still accept them and give them dignity and respect, even if we disagree? And that's some of our issues too. We have this cancel culture.
Yeah.
Like, oh, if you disagree with me, you're dead to me. That's the
Right.
words we use.
We
You're
cannot
dead to
be
me.
friends.
We cannot be friends.
I'm
I
seeing
block
this
you,
a
you don't
lot.
even-
Yeah, I'm seeing it a lot more on Facebook. Like, if you don't agree with X, Y, and Z, then just go
Just
ahead and
unfriend
unfriend me.
right?
Oh my gosh, wow. That's
So if we're canceling out babies and making exceptions, we're going to start doing it for each other, and it's already happening.
That's what I worry about. I do worry about that too. Whether it's in the womb or whether it gets into, who deserves medicine, and that's going to be a big problem. And we already see it even with the physician assisted suicide.
Or the terminology with miscarriages and how that's medically addressed.
Yes, actually, we were having a conversation about this the other day at the legislature, because it is such a wounding thing for women who have had miscarriages to
read that on the chart.
Yes, yeah, especially, and I've seen it on my own charts.
Me too.
But I knew, and so I was able to like handle it. But I can imagine, someone who already is blaming themselves. They're already thinking that the miscarriage was their fault, and then they see that on the chart. Oh my gosh.
It can be very triggering, for lack of a better word.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I work with someone who works with women who have been through that and helps them in their healing for miscarriage, stillbirth, or infant loss.
Yes, I do some ministry with Redbird Ministries. Have you
Yeah, that's who I was talking about. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Yeah.
So I help on some of their retreats and workshops and stuff like that.
Yes. And actually Kelly
Bro.
Yeah, she's kind of championing this cause, and it's so hard because we want a quick fix, and we want
the only thing that you might get a quick fix for is Cane's or McDonald's. Everything else is going to be, even Amazon Prime is getting a little slower.
Isn't it? Right? And a little less accurate. And I get a lot of my neighbors' deliveries, and so
everything else is you're just gonna have to prepare to be challenged.
And I think about that too with the people who have been longtime pro-life advocates, especially the ones who have been pro-life advocates since 1973, and how they probably hoped and prayed, but never actually expected that Roe v. Wade would be overturned. And it took 50 years of pushing that boulder up the mountain and falling back, pushing it back. And
now it's just 50 boulders, one for each state.
And now they're just they're like flying at you. They're not just rolling.
Fireballs.
Yes,
the fire is shooting at us.
Exactly. But someone once told me that and maybe it wasn't even a person, maybe it was something I read, that your testimony or your hurt, your struggle becomes your calling.
Yes, I've heard that before.
You have?
Or like your
Okay.
deepest wounds become your greatest mission or something like that.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. You would agree with that?
Yes, to some extent, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
have to define you. I
Yes.
think if you there's a healthy balance.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, this is my calling, this is my mission. But if I made it everything I am and what I stand for, then when people criticize me for speaking out, which they do, right?
Yeah.
Then I would like crumble if I did that. But I don't. It's like it's a balance.
So how do you handle that when people say, like, because I saw something like this the other day, well, isn't it great that her mom had a choice? And I was like, I mean, that's kind of the whole point. We don't think there should be a choice in this situation because people in this situation have inherent value.
She didn't have a choice to get pregnant.
Yeah.
That was not a choice for her. Right?
Yeah.
For others, it is.
Yeah.
You know, for the other 99%.
For the other 90, yeah.
Somebody made a choice, consenting choice. Whether it was a good one or a bad one, it was still a consentful choice. My mother didn't. So we'll have to talk more about choice when it comes down to that, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. So, okay, what do you think is, I think we both agree that there's not a one size fits all solution. What do you think is probably the most impactful thing? Okay, let me say this. What's one of the most impactful things? And then what is one of the most practical things that we as advocates can do to help people recognize the dignity of everyone, even the 1%?
This is going to sound like kind of a lame answer, but it's first recognizing the dignity of ourselves.
No, that's a great answer. Yeah.
We can't recognize the value and dignity of others, the unborn, our friends, our enemies, our students, our families, the in-laws we can't stand, right? Until, by the way, I love my in-laws, those who are listening.
I was gonna say, this is going to cause an awkward Easter.
But like, until we recognize that each of us have value and dignity and deserve to be seen and to belong, and that we are worthy of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, right? No matter what country you're from, but especially in these United States of America, when we can realize that in ourselves, it's much easier to see it in others, regardless of location, gender, size, all of those things, right? And you said practical?
Yeah. Like if I were walking out today, what's something that I could do? Or in the next week, if you gave me a goal in the next week, you should do this to move the needle forward.
I would say use ChatGPT or Google in your honor and look up some of our stories. Look up real life stories of people who have been conceived in these situations, right? And judge for yourself. Don't judge on what a senator says or what a Facebook meme says. Like, look up these real people and real stories. Check your sources, right? It's not Wikipedia or what's the B? The satirical one, you know?
Yeah, the Babylon Bee.
Babylon Bee.
Yeah.
Not good sources.
Yeah.
Find credible sources. I know for those conceived in rape or women who have been assaulted, right, and became pregnant from rape, regardless of their choice, there is an organization known as Save the One. Right? That's nationwide, and we have a private group that helps us stay connected. But some of us speak. Some of us have written books, do podcasts, stuff like that. It's non-religious. There's a little bit like there's Christian, right? But it doesn't push a particular religion. So it's okay if you're not a faithful church attendee, you can still read the stories, right? And it depends on which story you're reading, right? Some are sadder than others, some are tragic than others. But if you actually read them, right, and talk to some of us, or at least read our stories, you'll learn that we're all grateful to be here. I've never heard a single of all the people I know, which I know a handful now of who've been conceived in rape. I've never heard a person say, I wish my mom had aborted me.
I wonder that often. Does anybody wish for a different outcome?
Should they change? And again, I don't know every mother who's been in that situation, but the moms that I know as well have never said, I should have got the abortion. They all say that they're happy they didn't.
Wow.
That was the right choice. And I can't speak for all of them.
Right.
I can speak for mine and some of the other women that I've talked to or that I've met or who have on Save the One who have conceived and they chose life, right? That none of them regret it, right?
Do you know of any kind of loose statistic, even if it's just a guess, of how many women who choose life after an assault go on to parent their babies versus placing them for adoption? Have you ever heard anything like that?
Yes, but it's old
Oh,
numbers,
okay.
so I don't know how accurate it would be now. So I remember looking up at one point, like, okay, how many of all the women that we know statistically, right? And these are those who are like reporting it at Planned Parenthood or whatever, right? When they get the abortion because of rape or incest, we know it's 1%. We know that of the women who are pregnant, only about 1/3 of them actually go through the abortion. 2/3 of us are
Wow.
kept, more than you think. More than you
Wow.
think. And I would think that some of them are raised, but some of them are given up for foster care. So I would probably, I don't know, maybe half if I had to guess.
Oh, okay.
Because like my mom's in my life, but she didn't raise me. I was raised by my grandparents, my stepdad's parents.
Which
That's
is
the whole thing.
No, I know. I just want to like give a shout out to your stepdads, to both your stepdad and your stepdad's grandparents, because I think that is the most remarkable, not the most remarkable thing about your story, but I think it is so beautiful that these people who had no blood affiliation to you, no moral duty to
Obligation.
you other than just being good people in the world, you and took you on as their own. And I
still say
adopted
I'm the
person,
favorite.
you probably are. I think I'm the favorite
That's
too.
fine.
I think I am too. But yeah,
I want to go back.
I love that though. But
Thank
no, go
you so
ahead.
much. And they're still the best, right? Still very supportive of everything. I want to go back for a minute to the existential clarity moment, because I know we're kind of wrapping up, and I think this is very important for all of us to consider, no matter what your background is. If you look at history, right, generations of wars and conquering and invasions, even before our United States even existed, can you confidently say that rape and assault hasn't happened in your bloodline somewhere, somehow? In the last 6,000 years that we know for sure humanity has been on Earth, can you confidently say that you would be here unless somebody else had assaulted somebody else? You know what I mean? Like if you think about generations to generations to generation, back then rape and incest was very, very common and it happened all the time. And there was no abortion policy, abortions rules. You just had the baby or you were stoned to death by your community. And it was you and the baby.
Yeah.
Right? There was no choice in that matter. So can you sit here, and those listening, can you sit where you are and confidently say, no, rape or incest has not affected my family tree at any point?
And to your point, yeah, I mean that
we think about our children now, but think about those before us.
Those before us, yeah.
And how we got here.
Be here if, wow, that's
a practical thing I would do for homework. Yes.
Okay.
Think about that.
It's a good reflection
but also look up our stories.
Yeah. But I do love that too. I think that, so much in our world of this advocacy relies on seeing. I know that those who are faithful and can believe without seeing are blessed. But for so many of us, we need to see. We need to see
the stories. Yeah. At one point, if we had like a cough, we looked at WebMD. Now we don't do that. We go to or our baby had a cough, we look up WebMD. And one time we did WebMD and we would go down the tunnel. Now we ask other moms. We want their stories. We want to see what they did.
Yeah.
Right? And so when it comes to the pro-life movement, we need to see. We need the stories.
We need the stories. We need the
not just what ChatGPT or what the
and even in the womb, so many
Yeah.
women choose life after seeing that living being
or a heartbeat or
exactly.
the brainwaves. Yeah.
And it's so important. It's easy to dismiss what you can't see, what you only maybe intuitively or have heard exists, but maybe question. But it's harder when you do see.
Yeah, and to see, sometimes you might need to get some new glasses.
Yeah. You're giving me a lot of reflective homework.
Yeah, we might need a different kind of prescription to see what's right in front of us sometimes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to reflect on that. I think that you have hit me in a spot in a good way. Like maybe I need to put on some different glasses to, yeah. Well, gosh, I'm so grateful for you being here and for sharing. And I pray for you that you keep on sharing because again, I guarantee that not a single person who has met you would say, oh yeah,
she should have been aborted.
She shouldn't have been here. She shouldn't be here, but
she shouldn't have been born.
Right. Exactly. Let's rewind this.
Now, some of my students, maybe after they get there.
I didn't want to say that, but I was thinking, I was like,
but they don't know. They don't know.
Actually, I was a middle school teacher, so I think
there might be a handful.
But only in a moment of real anger.
Frustration.
But then they come out of it and they're like, no, I'm glad Miss Dubois is here.
Yes.
Is that what they call you, Miss Dubois?
Miss Amber, usually.
They do? Really? Okay. Yeah. That's cool.
Most of them, they can't spell Dubois, so they can spell Amber.
Yeah. Well, and I want you, one last thing to share, because I love it when you share this. This is also so indicative of how unique every single person is. I remember one time I was listening to your story and you talked about a weird thing that you eat. And I can't remember what it is, but then I saw someone get it. And I was like, Amber said that too. What is it that you like to eat?
Not
That's
the pineapple
weird?
and pizza. It's probably the fries and the frosty
The
from
fries and
Wendy's.
the frosty.
Yes, it's like two things that you think shouldn't go together, but they do. And once you have it, you can't go back.
Yeah.
Right now you always, or like ranch with pizza. It's like once you do it once, you're like hooked.
Yeah.
But that's also like people. Like once you meet them, you can't unmeet them.
Right.
You know?
You can't unsee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing. I know we only have a little bit of time in your story. You could probably share so many more aspects and facets of it. And I know that you do. You do this all the time. Well, you do it frequently, as being a mom and a teacher keeps you quite busy. But thank you for that assignment. That's very good for us to keep in mind and to remember. And I love what you said about not just looking at the future generations that may be saved, but
look at the past. That's the homework. So one, look up real stories of real people. Check your glasses, right? Maybe get a different prescription if you need, or different lenses. And then think about your past. Can you sit there and confidently say rape and incest has not been a part of my family tree somewhere?
Or just, just.
And there's no way of knowing, but
right.
I can probably confidently say it probably has.
Well, you're right. Exactly what you said. Historically, no, absolutely.
The chances are very high that it's impacted every single person on this planet.
Wow. Yeah.
So that makes us all the exception.
But the exception went from 1% to everyone. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you for that. And you guys, thank you for tuning in. Follow us as we work at the Capitol to hopefully defeat any exceptions to our pro-life laws that protect moms and babies at their most vulnerable moments. Look up, do what Amber said, look up the stories of the 1%, check your glasses, and think about, you didn't know, maybe you weren't aware of this in your past, but can you say that it wasn't part of your past? And do you think that you don't deserve to be here in that situation? And let us know what you think. All right, everybody have a blessed Easter. You too.
Thank you.